Hello everyone. Guess we're doing another one of these. I'm back to my recording place out in the middle of nowhere. If you're wondering where this is and why there's nobody here, like look over there. Right there. It's one of those ghost cities. Hey buddy. I think it's fully constructed, but there's nobody there. Anyway, so yeah, finally got those Epstein files released, as everybody knew they would be. And now the reason I'm making this video is there's a thing going around, like the people on the Butterfly site are saying that 4chan was a Mossad op, and Poll was like, and therefore everything that proceeded therefrom is juice colored. And well, I have some stuff to say about that. And the answer is yes, but also no. Since I guess most of the people who follow this channel, all 20 of you, are millennials or younger, let me give you a record of forum wars from somebody who's been on the internet way too much his entire life. I guess we could start back in Usenet, I suppose. Probably wouldn't be germane to this particular thing. So let's start in 1999 in a place called somethingawful.com. Somethingawful.com. It is hard to overstate the degree to which somethingawful.com dominated internet culture, and by extension popular culture now, which is now fused with internet culture. I guess technically there were larger. I guess there was a forum called Neopets, which is for kids. It technically had more users, but Something Awful was definitely the most vibrant online discussion board. I think it was number 2 overall, and had the most users online. So many things began on Something Awful, including memes, both the word and the format. Let's see, in its heyday, which was about 1999 to about 2004. The reason 2004 is because that's when the DMCA came online. It kind of shut down a lot of what Something Awful did, which is piracy. But from 1999 to 2004, Something Awful was the largest discussion group, the largest porn site, the largest BitTorrent tracker, and it's kind of where I mentioned memes, and also where Photoshop art kind of got its start. They would host Photoshop art contests, like it kind of really pushed that field. And it got like everything else. Lotax, who was the owner of that site, he kind of fumbled everything, and so he fumbled the Photoshop thing really early, and it got picked up by Worth 2000 and other places. But yeah, the Photoshop battles between FARC and Something Awful were legendary back in the day. Oh right, also the largest anime forum. Right, with everything you associate with that. There was virtually no censorship at that time. There was virtually no censorship. The anime stuff was initially, well, this being mostly almost entirely Generation X. We don't like anime that much, not as much as you guys do, and so it was relegated to its own subforum. And God help you if you ever wandered in there, because it was the most violent, heinous, CP-infested crap hole you ever saw in your entire life. Eventually, these people become unpopular, and right about this time, well, a little bit later on, I actually looked it up. I thought 2chan had been around a lot longer than 4chan, but it turns out actually no. They both came on. Well, there was one channel, channel one. I guess goes back a little bit further, but not very much. And this is the channel that the Japanese website that 4chan took borrowed its stuff from. It was established as an alternative, as an English version of 2chan in 2003. Also in 2003, Lotax, the admin of the site, shut down the anime subforum called ADTRW, which you can look up the translation of if you like, and banished them all, and they all went to 4chan. Okay, so this is a huge mistake, and I'll get into why just a little bit later. Not because I'm big on anime or CP or anything, but yeah. So after 2004-ish, so all the ADTRW guys, they go over to 4chan and like establish a beachhead there, and it becomes like the anime place, and the place where you go if you want CP, cheese pizza. If you want cheese pizza, you go to 4chan. That's what the forum is all about. Right, and the kind of like the left v right battle that's kind of what it's kind of over now, but I think it's over. You may disagree. That was raging from the past couple decades kind of gets its start on Something Awful, because Something Awful is going to spin off the alt-right, and it's going to spin off Tumblr and Reddit also. As it starts to break down, the wokies versus everybody else war kind of begins on SA. Lotax appoints a bunch of cat ladies and twinks to oversee the forum, and they behaved in the way that you're all used to. This is 20 years ago, over 20 years ago, and because of them, the forum starts to collapse. Okay. And this paired with Lotax had a very interesting way of raising money for his site, which was that he would ban people, just right and left. You had to pay $10 to sign up for his forum, and boy, you'd think that would drive people away, but no, it just incentivized them because it became valuable, right? To be able to post on SA, and so it's speculated that when Lotax needed money for something, he would just like give his admins a quota, X many bannings, and when you ban people, almost everybody would just sign back up and give him Lotax another $10. And but okay, and that worked for him, like more often than not. Like he would ban a bunch of people. They would give Lotax another $10, and Lotax would have the money that he needs to buy a Pokeball or a bunch of guns or a house or whatever. But after 4chan gets set up, that becomes less and less. Like people's like, screw this, let's go to 4chan, right? So Lotax or Something Awful gets smaller, and 4chan keeps getting bigger. And at some point, I think my memory, it's like 2006 and 2007-ish, 4chan finally overtakes Something Awful, right? Which means his revenue is declining, which means he has to do more bannings, which drives more people away, and the whole place kind of comes apart, right? So among the band were the permaband, the people who permabanning. It's like ghost. What's it called? Shadow banning, I believe, is a Something Awful invention. Like where you just ban a guy, you tell him that he's banned, and nobody can see his stuff. You know what shadow banning is. I believe it got its start there. Right, where was I? Right. So there were the permaband, like people who like Lotax like was really irritated with. Um, I was not among the perma banned, but I was frequently banned. You may know me as as Hangly Man, the Hangly Man, Hangoy. I'm the Hangly Man. At one point, I believe in 2006, I had the highest post count for the year on the Something Awful forums. So, if you were there at that time, I definitely irritated the crap out of you. I was not perma banned, but I was frequently banned. I think I was banned like 15 times overall. For posting in the I lived in the debate and discussion subforum, right? So if you were permabanned and you were not into weird anime sex stuff, you would go to another spin-off site, and there became a lot of spin-off sites. Was the Something Awful Sycophant Squad? They're SASS, started by Weave. He may deny it, but that is who. Wait, maybe should I be doxing people? It doesn't matter. He's in prison. Does it matter? I think he's in prison. The hacker named Weave set up the Something Awful Sycophant Squad, and as the forum continued to collapse, we had a moderator named McCain, right? Who was like this Dutch homosexual, and we had pictures of him naked. And we used to post it on debate and discussion, and he would ban us. And not me, I didn't do that. Why would I want that on my hard drive? But where was I? I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah. As Something Awful collapsed, it started spinning off these other sites, Dig, and then Reddit, and then Tumblr, all kind of spun off of Something Awful. And the debate and discussion subforum, which is about politics mostly, almost entirely, went to the Something Awful Sycophant Squad mostly, which was also inhabited by the permaband, right? Some people, you know, I don't know, is it doxing if I say his forum name? And is it doxing if I say his forum name and you also know his real name because the feds doxed his real name when they put him in prison? I'll just say Ricky Henderson was among the Something Awful Sycophant Squad, right? And a whole bunch of just like really highly intelligent but very irritating people that, yeah. So around 2007, 2008 is my recollection, maybe a little bit later. The Something Awful Sycophant Squad gets doxed, I think. Nobody's really sure why it goes down, but it goes down. Okay. And I see my opportunity. I seize the opportunity, and I create the successor forum, one of many successor forums to the Something Awful Sycophant Squad, called the New Effort. The New Effort, where there was 200 of us. I think Paul also existed at this time, but nobody was aware of it because who goes over there, right? Who goes over to that place? That's the Peter file. That's the PDF file place. You don't go there to talk politics. You come to SAS or the New Effort to talk politics. And me and some other guys and some friends, we made the New Effort into a right-wing site. I don't know. There's an Encyclopedia Dramatica article from I don't know when that labels me as a lunk-headed Nazi. Lunk-headed maybe. I was never really I'm not a Nazi. Kind of like the tone was like we were very tolerant of everybody. Even like if you were a radical leftist and we had some of those, you could be that. If you wanted to be like a wigger and like, you know, post rap lyrics, like we had those too. But yeah, we had some people who identified as Nazis and people who identified as Christians. Me, myself, I kind of pushed like this being like 20 years ago, Christianity was extremely, extremely, extremely out of fashion, especially on the internet, right? Like if you were a Christian, you kept it to yourself because the association people had with Christians was evangelicals, and evangelicals were very much hated. Like if you said you were a Christian online, people would look at like, what's wrong with you, boy? What's wrong with you? Like, you know, are you retarded? It's like saying if you were a flat earther. So I don't know. We tried to. I don't want to take credit for creating the Tradcath thing, but because I'm sure we didn't, but um, we kind of helped it in that direction. And around this time, I converted to Orthodox, and my good friend, who I won't name, like very traditional Italian Catholic, um, we did our best to like make Christianity cool again, right? Like bringing in like death to the world and stuff like that, and like kind of holding our ground, holding our ground against the atheists and the libertarians who didn't have any arguments per se. They were just like mock and point. I also want to say that all through this time, like you think the JIDF is a new phenomenon? Like hell. JIDF, I don't know if do they select the Jewish Internet Defense Force, the JIDF. My recollection is that goes back at least to 9/11. That's my recollection, because they would have this app called Megaphone, which was a web-based, I believe, group chat thing. So this not being social media, this being like the old internet where everybody was like a constellation of like little tiny forums. Post something awful, I suppose. Little tiny, or even when something awful was at its peak, you would you would post something about Israel, and all of a sudden, all these new registrants would just pour in, and we did not know how they were doing this, because like Messenger existed, but what they had this device app called Megaphone that if one person posted to Megaphone, like everybody who had the app would get the notification, right? And my recollection is that technology did not exist. It was not available to the general public at that time. So you'd be on SA, you'd like say something about Israel, and like all of a sudden, poof, right? Like the forum would be swarming with all these new people. Like, where the heck did you people come from? Who are you? Like, why are you here? I can see your registration. You just registered like 15 minutes ago. Like, who are you and why are you here? So, and then Megaphone got infiltrated by someone, and they posted screenshots, and yeah. So I don't know. A lot of the forum war days was like us fighting the JIDF, right? And me, because I don't want to take too much credit, but because I'm a curious person, like just like you'd argue with these people, right? Like Mustache Man had a similar experience in Vienna, arguing with the juicy men in the public square, whereas like these people do not think like the rest of us. They just their mental processes, right? And I have some theories. Which maybe, I don't know, maybe the theories are for another time. But yeah, like you can tell when they're not like us, because okay. I don't think they know that they are lying. That makes sense. I think their brains just kind of work that way. I think their brains are just wired differently, right? Where they see like they see the thing that they want you to believe. Like they're not trying to. Okay, let's go into it. I'm drawing on Spengler a lot here. Oswald Spengler, Decline of the West. If you're not familiar, don't worry about it. But he says that the Western brain is very Cartesian, right? Syllogistic. Major premise, minor premise, conclusion. Even if the conclusion is like way off, apart from, even if it's a completely unknown fact, something that nobody has ever considered before. If you do it logically, right, and you have your major premises right, your minor premises right, whatever the conclusion is must be true, right? a formal, what do they call it? A formal statement. Yeah. I don't think that's how, well, not just them, but like non-Westerners in general. I think their brains just work differently, where they'll like, this is the thing that I want you to believe, and whatever I have to say to get you to that place is the thing I'm going to say. Right? I think that is my opinion about what's going on up here. So and you get good at it. You get good at sniffing them out, right? Because even when they're posing as somebody else, even if they're posing as a neo-pagan or as a Christian or as a Republican or whatever, if you corner them, right, and you start asking, you start peppering them with questions, and they exhibit that tendency, right, that those thought processes, like, I know who you are, I know who you are, I know how you came here, I know what you are, you can't fool me. And then you start just like talking past like their questions and start asking them, like, you know, are you with the JIDF? And if they come back with an insult, yes, they are. You know, a normal person would say, no, I am not. I am blah, 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 and say, you know, reply to your question with a factual statement. If they respond with an insult or another question or like a deflection, I know what you are. I know what you are. I see you, right? So where am I going with this? So that's kind of how I don't know. So in about 2007, 2008, like we on the TNA forums kind of like discover Paul, right? Like we did. Who are these people? Where do these people come from? Like apparently the pedophile forum evolved its own political forum that we were unaware of, and that was kind of cool. I was like, maybe, you know, I was thinking to myself, well, maybe there's no reason for my forum to exist anymore. But then went over there and oh, we were just appalled. Like they post a lot of right-wing stuff, but by and large, they were libertarians, they were atheists, and anything that was degenerate, they absolutely loved, and they loved absolutely everything degenerate. Like, ugh. So me and my friends, we kind of took it upon ourselves. This is going later, like if you remember, maybe you don't, maybe you're too young, 2013, 2014, there was like a schism in on 4chan. Either I think Moot was going out with Vinyl Girl, or he started doing censorship, or I don't remember what the cause was, but there was a huge migration away from 4chan to 8chan, right, which had different rules. Like Hot Wheels, the guy around that site, was not, you know, not super PDF file friendly, and so it was a lot less than that. Also, I live overseas, and I have to get through the Great Firewall of China through a VPN, and 4chan blocks VPNs. 8chan did not. So during this time, me and a bunch of other guys, we were over there, and we started like evangelizing Paul, right? Like meeting these guys, you know, just standing toe to toe with them and just like slugging it out. You know, just like yeah, and you know, just like before, you know, you get into it a little bit with him, like, oh, okay. They argue like the demon in The Exorcist, if you've seen that, right? Like you ask him a question, like your mother sucks far from hell, you know. I'm not going to curse on this. My children might see this someday. Your mother sucks candy in hell. I don't know. But you know what I mean. Right? And they had a lot of, they just constantly shift tactics, right? Christianity is stupid, Christianity is primitive, Christianity is anti-white because it's Jewish, which is when they like to try a lot. The true white religion is neo-pagans, and no offense to you if you're neo-pagans. I'm very positive on European paganism. I like it, but these clearly were not them. They're just using it as like a device. Like, don't do this way, do that way, right? But they weren't. You could tell they weren't serious about it because constantly shifting. Anyway, I don't want to take too much credit. Actually, I do. I want to take very much credit, but you shouldn't. I mustn't, because that will turn people off, and it's not good to talk about yourself. But a group of guys, which may or may not have included me and my friends, it is my recollection that during this time, 2011 to 2013, we converted Paul to Christianity. And gosh, I'm almost up on 30 minutes. But I want to say this about arguing on the internet. It absolutely does change people's minds. But you have to argue with the right people, and you have to argue in the right way. So my company is called Incel Riot. This is my registered name. I registered with the IRS. Slipped it under the wire before they became aware of what this word actually meant. In nature and in I'm gonna get philosophical now. In nature and in societies, like, you're always gonna have unattached males, right? The country gets too built up, right? There aren't enough women. There's no more land, right? So you're always going to have these unattached males, the incels, I suppose. Yeah, the incels. These unattached males serve a very important function in society, I believe. Because what do you do when, like, there's no life for you here anymore? You leave, right? There's a thing that flips in that boy's head, and he's going to say, I have got to, by instinct, says, I have got to cast out, I have got to leave, I have got to go exploring, right? I must join the war party, I must join the raiding party, I must join the colony, I must strike out on my own and go pan for gold or whatever, or go be a hunter in the wilderness. And that can happen, like, physically, like all the things that I said, where you physically leave. It can happen artistically. It can happen intellectually, right? Where intellectually I can go strike out, and these boys are going to be very open-minded, very high IQ, and by instinct they're going to go out to the place that they explore. They're going to try to find something useful, right? This is the thing that I can make my name out of, and they're going to bring it back. They're like the roots of an onion, right? They go exploring out into the earth, looking for a new path, right? And instinctively they will go out and grab something and bring it back, and say, "How about this?" Right? Can I establish myself based on this thing that I have found? Right. And it's important to remember that intellectually, culturally, artistically, whatever, everything new comes in from the outside. People have this Marxist view of society that's like, top down, like the 1% versus the 99%, the oppressor versus oppressed, this kind of a thing. I disagree with this paradigm, right? The way I see it, there's an inside and there's an outside, right? If you are inside, you are you're going to be richer. You're going to have better access to more attractive women. You have a bigger house, right? You will have status within society, okay? But because you are enfranchised in that society, you are going to be bound by their mores and by their ideas. Okay, if you are an outcast, if you're out on the fringe, you are free to explore, right? And so you have all kinds of weirdos out on the out on the out on the fringe, arguing with each other and cross pollinating and making all kinds of weird and interesting things. Every society, every place, every time throughout history has got these guys, right? And this is where everything happens, in intellectually, in culture, anywhere. Right now, I'm not sure where this fringe exists. 20 years ago, this fringe was on 4chan. And you could go there and you could see a neo-pagan argue with a Catholic argue, and with an Orthodox guy, with a libertarian, and maybe a couple communists thrown in. It's just like this big cluster of and it makes you strong. It makes you a good debater, number one. And if you persuade that group, by speaking the truth, and right, if you win that group over, right, whatever that group decides, whatever the fringe group decides, is going to be mainstream culture within like 20 years, right? So you'll have these guys where where art meets schizophrenia, literally. So you have these guys slugging it out, these guys who will probably never have any status within society. But then you have people who are bored, right? Normies who are bored normies will go out to this place, right? And looking for new ideas, new aesthetics, anything new. This is where it's going to come from the fringe. Everything new comes from the fringe, right? And you'll have pseudo-normie types, like a PewDiePie or a JonTron, right? Who are more charismatic and more facing to normie tiered kind of a people who get their ideas from this fringe, right? And it makes them fabulously wealthy. The wealth does not go to the inventor, but to the person who brings the exploits the invention and brings it to the masses. Right. So where am I going with this? Yeah, if you want to change the world, if you want to get rich changing the world, be charismatic. Start. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. I was going to say the people who rule us, again, have a very Marxist understanding of, a very materialist, a very deterministic understanding of how information is promulgated, right? In their world, it's like chess. No, but literally though, but actually, okay? Think about like a chessboard, right? The strongest place your piece can be is in the center of the board. It can project the most power if it's in the center. And this is the way they think. This is the way they fight wars. This is the way they do propaganda. We need to have the biggest channel that covers the most ground, and we need to blast our message to the most people, as if all those people were fungible, like interchangeable, like the same. Right? But they're not the same, right? A normie is just a normie. You broadcast your message to a normie, he probably won't even remember it, okay? Here's an alternative theory. The alternative theory of the game board is that it's more like Weiqi or the Go, you might know it, or the if you don't know how to play those games, the Parker Brothers game Othello works on the same principle, where the strongest position on the board is the edge. It's the edge, right? If you win the edge, right, because those guys have got nothing to lose, and those guys are strongest. Those guys have no place to retreat to, right? You propagandize to the edge. If you win the edge, right, the edge will gradually encroach in on you and strangle you, which is what actually happened, right? So I guess I'm pushing back on the, well, generally speaking, like this is a message of positivity. This is a message of positivity. It's not the guy in the middle. It's not the guy with the most money, with the biggest reach, that decides what's going to happen in our world. It really is the boys on the fringe that, So I do believe that everything that happened over on 4chan happened. It may have, the intention might have been containment. The intention might have been to turn them into something or other, but that's not how it worked out. That's not how it worked out. We beat them. We beat them, and now our version of politics and our aesthetic and our worldview is dominant now because we won the edge 15 years ago, or what was it? Yeah, like 12 years ago. Anyway, that's all. Message of positivity. Cheers.